All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 114 of Sports Hype. Do have a lot to get through today as there's been a lot of extensions and injuries as training camp continues to roll on for all 32 NFL teams. First and foremost, we'll touch on the Buccaneers and Tristan Wirfs agreeing on a new 5-year, $140.63 million contract extension that includes $88.24 million guaranteed. This makes him the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history. So we'll give our thoughts on that. DJ Moore and the Chicago Bears agreed on a new 4-year, $110 million extension with $82.6 million guaranteed. So give our thoughts on that. Then Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins agreed on a new 3-year extension for $90 million and $65 million guaranteed. This brings his 4-year total of guaranteed money to $106.5 million, which is the most ever for any receiver in NFL history. So we'll give our thoughts on that deal and what it means for the Dolphins. And then the Lions and left tackle Taylor Decker signed a 3-year, $60 million contract extension that includes $31.83 million guaranteed. And the Patriots and defensive tackle Devon Godcho, I hope I'm saying that right, agree on a 2-year, $21 million extension with $16.5 million guaranteed. Let's give our thoughts on those deals. And then to round out the extensions, Cardinals and Zaven Collins agreed on a 2-year, $14 million extension with the Cardinals that includes $11.25 million guaranteed. This now ties him to the Cardinals through the 2026 season. So we'll give our thoughts on that. And there was a few new signings this past week. The Cowboys signed defensive end Al-Quadin Muhammad. He was a former Colts defensive end, so we'll give our thoughts on that signing and what it means for the Cowboys. And then the Atlanta Falcons added weapons for Kirk Cousins by getting wide receiver James Washington, a former Steeler. So I'm sure the Steeler fan over there has a lot to say about James Washington. So give our thoughts on that signing. And then unfortunately, running back Rashad Penny decided to call it a career after 6 seasons. I believe he could have it was because of injuries and he could have had a much better career, granted better health. So we'll give our thoughts on his career and how he could have been better if he was fully healthy throughout his entire career. Speaking of injuries, there's been a lot of injuries this week specifically, ending a lot of player seasons, starting with the Cowboys defensive end Sam Williams tearing his ACL in training camp practice. We'll go through what that means for Dallas. Cardinals outside linebacker BJ Ojulari tore his ACL. We'll go through what that means for the Cardinals. And then Colts defensive end Samson Ibukam tore his Achilles. So we'll say what that means for Indianapolis. And then Lions defensive end John Kaminsky tore his MCL. He's out indefinitely, not for the season. Could return for the playoffs, but not going to return anytime soon. So we'll go through what that means for Detroit and their defense. And then the wrap up on the NFL, Texans defensive end Danico Autry was suspended for 6 games for violating performance-enhancing drug policy. So we'll go through what that means for Houston for their first 6 games of the season. Then to get to the NBA, Jarrett Allen and the Cleveland Cavaliers agreed on a new 3-year, $91 million max contract extension. Give our thoughts on that. I'm sure the Cavs fan over there is very happy to see him back in the Cavs uniform. And then Luke Kennard agreed on a 1-year, $11 million deal to return to the Memphis Grizzlies. And Preston Achua agreed on a 1-year, $6 million deal to return to the New York Knicks. Give our thoughts on those deals. Round out the podcast, we'll touch on Devontae Graham signing a 1-year deal with the Portland Trailblazers and give our thoughts on that. First and foremost, though, as I said, we'll touch on the Buccaneers and Tristan Wirfs agreeing on his new 5-year, $140.63 million contract extension that includes $88.24 million guaranteed, which makes him the highest paid offensive line in NFL history. What do you got to say about that, Gio?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to see that if you're not a quarterback, right, if you're not a receiver, defensive end, right, the next highest paid player is most likely going to be an offensive lineman. That is because of the protection needed to protect your quarterback. They're doing so with this re-signing for a 5-year extension for him. Congratulations on him. Kudos to him and his agent to getting that, contract done. The most important part for me is, are they going to really protect Baker Mayfield in that pocket? I believe they will. They have a great offensive line, in my opinion. So kudos to them, making sure that Baker's protected for the near future, and hopefully they can have a great season like they did last year, build up on that season. Hopefully they can reach, what was it? They reached divisional round, right? They didn't go to
they lost to the Lions in the second round.
Right. So hopefully they can win that second round, go to the conference championship this year, which would be amazing for them. Obviously, in the post Tom Brady era of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I believe in Baker. I believe in Mike Evans still. He just got a, extension as well. So if they're doing good moves down in, Tampa, you got to watch out for them. I think it's anyone's game in the NFC right now. If you're not the San Francisco 49ers or the Philadelphia Eagles, I think it's anyone's game.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great signing for the Bucks. Tristan Wirfs is by far their best offensive lineman,
Right.
as you stated, and you have to pay your best offensive lineman to continue to protect your franchise quarterback, which right now is Baker Mayfield for them. And they had a great year last year, and they got even better in the offseason. So I do agree.
Right.
I mean, in that division, like the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Saints, I'm putting my money on the Bucks to win that division again.
100%.
And I think they can win at least 10 to maybe 11 games. My ceiling for them is 10, though. I think they'll win 10 games. They won 9 last year. So I think this is a great signing for them. Continue to protect Baker, and hopefully they can, like you said, they can make some noise come playoff time.
For sure.
But moving on to DJ Moore and the Chicago Bears agreeing on a 4-year, $110 million extension with $82.6 million guaranteed. What's your thoughts on that?
I love this move for DJ to stay with Chicago, to have Caleb Williams and, running the team. I don't know if you saw this, but Caleb already stated, he wants the little things done, like picking up after yourself in practices, trying to do your best to be the best leader, and showing that he wants other players to, pick up after themselves, just pretty much put yourself on the pedestal, right? Give yourself some respect. Everything should be done in orderly fashion. If you have that kind of mindset, you're going to win some football games. I'd love to see this from the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, getting DJ Moore back again. This is amazing, and I'm just excited to watch because I guarantee you right now, they're the X factor in the NFC right now. If they start winning games, anything can happen. And even if they're not winning games, they're going to make it close games, right? They're going to just be an exciting team to watch, and I'm excited to watch them this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great signing for the Bears, especially after getting Keenan Allen. Now they have 2 of the top receivers in the league on their team for Caleb Williams, along with a great rookie that they got, Roma Duns, at number 9.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit, I did think Caleb Williams would be a bust, but that's before the Bears front office decided to put all these weapons around him. Now that he has all these weapons, there's not as much pressure on him. I think he can go out there and thrive. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs this year, but if not this year, at least in the next 2 years, they'll be in the playoffs. Their future is very bright, in my opinion.
100%. They're just like, I would say, the Detroit Lions. Yeah, you don't have an experienced quarterback in Jared Goff, who went to the Super Bowl with the Los Angeles Rams, but you do have an amazing quarterback in Caleb Williams that does, I want to say, is a leader, right? Even though he's a rookie, he's already leading this team into having a winning, type of mentality. Even though they've been in the bottom of the NFC for so long, he's got that mentality. They're having a great, they're creating a great culture in Chicago. Once again, hopefully it's a winning type of culture. Like I said, they are the X factor in the NFC. If it's not them, then it's obviously the Bucks. But we already saw what the Bucks can do last year. They're going to be just like the Houston Texans last year. They're going to possibly win some games and surprise a lot of people. So I'm excited to watch the Chicago Bears team.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at C.J. Stroud last year, he came in and took the league by storm. I think Caleb Williams has the potential to do that. Not saying he'll, win 10 games like C.J. Stroud did or put up the stats C.J. did, but he will surprise some people, in my opinion. I think he would at least get the Bears 8 to 9 wins, and who knows, maybe that's enough to get them into a wild card spot, depending on what goes on in the NFC. The one thing that I will say about the Bears is they need a better defense because their division is very good. They have Detroit and Green Bay in that division. Those are the 2 favorites for that division. Let's just put that out there. I forget the 4th team in that division.
Detroit, Green Bay,
Chicago, and
the Vikings.
Yes, the Vikings. So even the Vikings, like that division is very deep. So like they need a better defense because JJ McCarthy could also, speaking of rookie quarterbacks, could come in and take the league by storm as well. So they need a better defense in order to, further improve their team. But once they do that, I think the sky is the limit for the Bears.
Well, now let me say this: C.J. Stroud, just like I think, Adam Schefter said this perfectly, created the standard for upcoming rookies. When you see C.J. Stroud do exactly what he did last year, that's what you expect from J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix. Well, maybe not Bo, but definitely J.J.
Well,
definitely.
I'd say it's quarterbacks in the top 10 that Schefter was talking about.
Yes, but I also think like some of these guys,
especially
like,
the top 2.
Yeah, but Penix Jr., this draft class, that's my standard going forward. Like, you saw potential in all these guys: JJ, Penix, Bo, Caleb, right?
Yeah.
And so I think what we saw from CJ last year, what we saw from possibly Patrick Mahomes, although he rode the bench, Patrick Mahomes came out lighting the league on fire. You had, Joe Burrow. I said this multiple times when people were like, give Pickett time. No, this is the standard now. We have so much talent in the league that it's next man up mentality. If you're now, go ahead and winning games, then I'm sorry, you're a bust. We're going to get another guy. I don't care. We'll be in the top 10 next year because you're not having us win games. We're going to be in the top 10 next year for sure.
Right, and that's why Trey Lance, like, he only got one shot and he blew his shot. It's really that simple.
He had a shot. He didn't take advantage of it. That's why we see Jordan Love took advantage of his shot. Now he's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, if not the highest paid quarterback in the league, right? We saw him. We saw CJ last year. We saw Joe Burrow do it. We saw Patrick do it. We saw Josh Allen do it. I mean, we saw Dak Prescott take advantage of the opportunity when he had it back in the day. I mean, the standard's there. It's high now. We don't have 2-3 years to develop a quarterback. We got 1, possibly 2 years to develop a quarterback, or we're moving on from it.
Right. And that's why I think, like, these rookie quarterbacks coming in, they have all the pressure on them. They have all the cameras on them for that reason. And if they don't respond well to that pressure, well, we're moving on. Next man up.
For sure. But there's obviously scenarios. For me, perfect example, Denver, and you have Bo, right? So
yeah, Bo Nix, yeah. And I mean, also in New England, because I'm hearing that Jacoby Brissett will most likely start over Drake May at first.
Yes. And so if that's the case, obviously Jacoby's a great mentor for Drake. But I do believe since Bo's going to obviously start right away, he's getting put right into the fire, right?
With no weapons.
Right. To me, that's hard to do. That's why Bryce Young obviously should get another chance, right? We see what he can do like as a player, but his team's not where it should be. Same thing with Denver. So obviously there's scenarios that, it does take a couple of years. But realistically, if you have a good team, like say the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kenny Pickett didn't work out, you're getting moved. Same thing with Trey Lance. If you have a great team in the San Francisco 49ers, you don't work out, you're going to get moved. It's that simple.
Yep. I mean, it also goes to Michael Penix and the Falcons too, because obviously Kirk's there for at least 2 years. So, I mean, we can give him a little bit of a landslide there. But
yeah,
most of these rookie quarterbacks are expected to take the league by storm and lead their team to, I'd say, at least 6 to 8 wins in that margin as a rookie.
For sure. And like you said, the pressure's on for rookies now. It's not come in the league, develop. It's like come in the league, perform. And if you're not performing, then we're moving on. It's just like with the NBA. If you're a rookie, if you're Bronny James, right, for instance, and you're not performing, or if you're like, who was a good one? Good example. Scottie Pippen Jr., right? Example. Great player. In my opinion, great player. Just didn't work out with the Lakers. So he got, booted out. I forget, where is he? Memphis now? So now he's in the G League. He's, staying in the G League because he didn't take advantage of that shot, in my opinion.
Right. I mean, it's not just in the NFL, it's everywhere. Like rookies, if you're drafted in the lottery, you're expected to take your team to the promised land and help them do that. And if you don't, in the first 2, maybe 3 years, if you're lucky, then they'll just be like, all right, you're a bust. Get out of here.
Right, because they have to develop other players. They have to keep moving forward because the talent, it's never,
Yep.
it's something we have never seen before. The talent pool in collegiate athletes and high school athletes, we've never seen this before, and it's only getting better.
Right? I mean, look at Marvin Bagley. He was drafted number 2, and he has not panned out at all. It's been shipped to multiple teams. Now he's rotting in Detroit.
Right.
So, I mean, like you can't go in the league and expect to have a few years to develop. You have to be dominant right away, especially if you're drafted in the top 10 and especially in the top 5.
Oh, for sure.
So we'll see what happens with the Bears, but I think they can take a lot of people by storm. But speaking of a team that can take people by storm, if everything goes well, the Miami Dolphins and Tyreek Hill agreed on a new 3-year extension for $90 million and $65 million guaranteed. Hill's total of guaranteed money is now $106.5 million. That is the most ever for any receiver in NFL history. What's your thoughts on this deal?
I love it. I mean, if you're the best wide receiver in possibly the history of the game, you should be paid that way, right? And I know we said, we've said this multiple times on the podcast before, don't take the bag, get that winning mentality, give the money somewhere else. But at the same time, if you're winning, if you're the best player, if you deserve that kind of money, as he's proven time and time again that he's the best wide receiver in the league by far, right, over the last couple of years, then you should get that, you should get paid that kind of money. I do hate that he is getting paid that much money because why couldn't you give it to Howard? Why couldn't you give it to some of these other great defensive players that you had to let go? It doesn't make any sense to me. But at the same time, kudos to him. He deserves that money, and he's a champion. Tyreek Hill, he's a cheetah. There's nothing else I can say about it except for great job to him. And it is a little confusing, right? So
yeah, I mean, I didn't think about it that way because I was like, well, it's Tyreek, he deserves that money.
Right.
But now that you say it, like they let not only Xavier Howard go, they let their best linebacker go, they let their best defensive tackle go, and arguably the best defensive player in Christian Wilkins.
Yeah.
And you had that money in your back pocket. Not only that money, but the money you gave to Tua, along with the money you gave to Jalen Waddle. So, I mean, you need great offensive players, but you don't win without a defense. There's a saying, and it's a true saying, that defense wins championships. Right. And if you don't have a good defense, you're not going to win games. So I don't know what the Dolphins were thinking. Because, I mean, you can let one of those 3 go that you let go, like maybe Xavier Howard, but at least keep Christian Wilkins.
100%. Wilkins or Howard. I mean, Tyreek's not going to walk away from the Dolphins. Tua is obviously not going to walk away from the Dolphins. They still had time up. They could be like, okay, let's negotiate a higher contract next year or the next year after that. Let's try to get a championship team this year. Let's try to keep as many people as we can this year. I know you can't perform in the playoffs if you're in cold weather, Tua. Let's try to get you ready for that this year so that you can go ahead and win that Super Bowl. And then anything can happen after that. I'm sure a lot of people will sacrifice money if they win a Super Bowl. That's just straight fact. If people win a Super Bowl, they're going to sacrifice that money so they can go back to back. So why not try to give them that kind of, pitch, right? Instead, they gave all the money to their 3 best, offensive players who personally don't perform in the playoffs. Tua Tagovailoa hasn't performed well in the playoffs. Jalen Waddle hasn't performed well in the last year, right? Tyreek gets doubled because Jalen hasn't performed well in the playoffs. So it's like there's no good answer of why they gave them that money because they haven't been successful in the playoffs. And I'm sure Nick Say, if he was on this podcast, he would argue with us day in and day out of how great this team is, how everyone deserves this money. But the truth is, if you're not winning, like Tua, like Waddle, you shouldn't be getting that money. And obviously, Tyreek deserves this money, but he gets doubled in the playoffs, so there's really no point. It's crazy to me. All right, it's just unfathomable because you could have kept these two, like you said, 2 defensive players.
Right. And the only reason they were in that game against the Chiefs was because of their defense. They only lost by 3 because of their defense. They held the Kansas City Chiefs offense to 10 points. You don't see that happen very often. And you go
Howard,
and let go. Then you go and let go of one of the best corners, if not the best in the league,
right.
and one of the best defensive tackles, if not the best.
I was about to say, Howard and Wilkins have won you guys games day in and day out throughout the entirety of their, Dolphins career. So why would you let those guys go? It makes no sense to me. I mean, especially against the Steelers. The Steelers with Kenny Pickett, they could have came back. But then Xavier Howard turned on the clamps last minute. It's like he does that all the time. Wilkins saves them all the time. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you get rid of those two guys and not pay them when you give 3 offensive players the bag? Like, more than, to me, all 3 of them deserve.
Yeah, 100%. This is like equivalent to the Cowboys letting go Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs to re-sign Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Huh?
I said 100%. It's like you said, the exact equivalent. It's like, okay, let's just pay George Pickens. Let's pay, now we're gonna have to pay either Russell Wilson or
Fields.
Thank you, Justin Fields. Might as well let's just watch TJ go ahead and leave the facility, right? Let's go ahead and watch, what's his face, Micah or Minka, yeah, leave the facility. So
it just doesn't make sense. Like, you need a full team, and they don't have a full team right now. Yeah, don't get me wrong, they have one of the best offenses in the league, but it doesn't mean anything if your defense can't stop anybody. And we've seen that happen multiple times these past few NFL seasons. The Chargers are a great example. They can put up points like no tomorrow. Their defense can't stop anybody.
100%.
So, like, it's not going to mean anything. But obviously, Tyreek Hill, like you said, is probably the best receiver in the league right now, and he deserves this money. It just doesn't make sense why they didn't allocate it better along their team.
Yes.
But overall, though, definitely a very well-deserved deal for Tyreek Hill.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
But moving on to the Detroit Lions and left tackle Taylor Decker signing a 3-year, $60 million extension that includes $31.83 million guaranteed. What's your thoughts on that deal?
I love it, man. I mean, left tackle is one of the most important positions on the offense, in my opinion. So for them to go ahead and protect, obviously we said this before, but to protect Jared Goff, St. Brown, this is the best move they could have done, and I'm glad they're getting better. And Dan Campbell, like I said, he's the leader on that team along with Jared and Lamar. So great signing, great extension.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great signing. Have to, like I said regarding Baker Mayfield, have to protect your franchise quarterback. In order to do that, you have to keep your O-line together. And Taylor Decker's probably their best offensive lineman, just like Tristan Wirfs is for the Bucs. So definitely a great signing for them. And I think the Lions could potentially, they were very close last year. So I think they didn't lose anybody important, and they added better talent. I think they could also be a favorite in the NFC to make it out and make the Super Bowl.
Oh, 100. I cannot believe I forgot about them when I said the Eagles and the 49ers. Yeah, you definitely have the Detroit Lions. The only thing why I didn't mention them is because I need to see it again this year. Like we said previously, Dan Campbell goes on it and on 4th and down, right? It's like flipping a coin. He won a lot of those that last year. Don't get me wrong. But when you flip a coin, there's going to be a lot of losses as well.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, if Josh Reynolds caught those 2 4th down conversions against the 49ers, they're probably in the Super Bowl. Who knows if they win? They probably don't because it's the Chiefs. But you never know. You never know what could have happened. But, yeah, based off that, I mean, I get it. Dan Campbell trusts his guys, but it could come back to bite him multiple times this upcoming year.
For sure.
So we'll see what happens. But I think that if everything goes well, the Lions could be favorites in the NFC as well.
100%.
Moving on to the Patriots and defensive tackle Davon Godchaux agreeing on a 2-year, $21 million contract extension with $16.5 million guaranteed. What's your thoughts on this deal?
I like it. I mean, we're seeing the Patriots go back to their good old days, putting defense first. Yeah, they have a great young quarterback, and and Drake May. They have a new coach. I'm just excited because when we see Gerard coach, I'm pretty sure we're going to see a Belichick-esque, offense and defense. So I just
Yeah.
can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's why they're putting defense first is because Gerard Mayo's a defensive guy. That's his main focus right now. I think the offense is going to take a little while to get going under Gerard Mayo. It's going to take getting used to his schemes and playbook outside of Bill Belichick since they were used to that for so long. But as long as the defense continues to play the way they did last year, they will be in games. And if Jacoby Brissett can continue to play quarterback the way he did for the Colts, they could win a lot more games than they did last year. So I think they could surprise some people. Not saying they'll win the division, but I think they'll end up winning at least 5 or 6 games.
For sure.
But moving on to the Cardinals and Zaven Collins agreeing to a 2-year, $14 million extension that includes $11.25 million guaranteed. This now ties him to the Cardinals through the 2026 season. What's your thoughts on that, Teal?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Cardinals. They're so dysfunctional. I just got to see them going the right, have the right steps in the right direction before I make any comments on how great of a, extension this is. But, I mean, we'll see what happens with them. They're still the Cardinals. Hopefully they can make some noise. But like we just mentioned, 6 or 7 teams in the NFC that could be potential, candidates for the Super Bowl. We mentioned a couple X Factor teams. So I don't think they have a shot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's great Kyler Murray got back and is back healthy. You always have a shot with Kyler back there, but the problem with the Cardinals for me is that they lost their best weapon in Marquise Brown, and they don't have any weapons for Kyler Murray, and he's going to have to do it by himself again, which is how he got hurt. Like he put too much stress on his body, and he's going to have to do that again. But I mean, this signing is good for the Cardinals because their defense is their only thing that they got going right now, so they need to keep that intact. But yeah, I agree. I don't think they're going to have a shot in the NFC, and I think they're going to take a few more years to get back to where they were when Kyler first started going there.
Right.
Moving on to a few signings. The Cowboys signed defensive end Al-Quadin Muhammad. He was a former defensive end for the Colts. So what's your thoughts on that signing?
I like this. I mean, definitely get some reps in there. You can obviously move Micah now, linebacker position, defensive end.
What I'm hearing based off training camp is that even Micah said it himself. He's going to be disguised more. He's going to be playing a lot more linebacker, which I like.
Right. Which is going to be crazy to see.
Because it's going to be like the days. It's going to be like
get the quarterback.
Yeah, like it's going to be like that. It's going to be like when we had Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch back there. Like Jalen Smith before his ACL tear could get sideline to sideline in 0.2 seconds. I think Micah Parsons can do it faster than that. So, I mean, and like you can disguise him much better to blitz, like you said. And like you said, 5 seconds to the quarterback, 5 seconds is not a lot of time to throw.
No, not at all. I think it was even less. I think it was 3.5, dog.
Oh, for real?
I think it was 3.5 seconds was average Micah got to the quarterback last year.
Oh, yeah, you're probably – I think it was like, 2.83 in that range probably.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, for Micah to do that on the line, imagine disguising that blitz. Yeah, it's going to be an extra half second, second, but still, they're not going to see it coming, and they're going to get hit right with that, uppercut, and it's going to be game over.
Right? I mean, you can try to run screens against us, but I promise you they're not going to work with Micah Parsons at linebacker.
100%.
So I think it's going to be this signing is great for the Cowboys. One, because unfortunately we did lose defensive end Sam Williams to a torn ACL, which we needed to replace him. So that's a great replacement for Sam Williams. And two, like you just said, I mean, this being able to disguise Micah a lot more in Mike Zimmer's scheme of defense, I think it's going to add a lot of advantages to our defense and make us a lot harder to beat.
Yes, for sure.
Moving on to the Falcons, adding some more talent for Kirk Cousins by signing wide receiver James Washington, former Cowboy and former Steeler. So what's your thoughts on that?
I love it. I mean, he's such a big receiver, right? And he's got great footwork, great hands. For him to be possibly a second option, third option on that team is going to be wonderful for him. He's going to get a lot more targets considering he's not on, the Steelers or the Cowboys now. So good for him. I love this signing. Hopefully he has a lot of success in the future.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a much better fit than the Cowboys and Steelers because, like you said, he could be a wide receiver 2, maybe wide receiver 3 instead of wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 like he was. The problem is that he has to stay healthy, and he hasn't shown he's been able to do that. But if he stays healthy, I think he'll be a great weapon for Kirk Cousins because Kirk not only loves tight ends, but he loves big receivers and he loves deep threat receivers, both of which James Washington is.
Oh, yeah.
So I think this could be a great fit for him as long as he stays healthy.
For sure.
But moving on to Rashad Penny retiring after 6 seasons. In my opinion, it's because of medical reasons. But what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, 100%. This is why the running back position isn't getting paid. I mean, you have great talents like him. Go ahead and ending their careers early, but that's because their bodies can't take the beating all the time, right?
I mean, you also look at J.K. Dobbins for the Ravens. Like, the same thing could happen to him if he keeps tearing his ACLs.
J.K. Dobbins. Cam Akers is back, apparently.
Yeah.
But his body's taking a beating. Todd
Gurley? Like,
100% took a beating. I mean, he was lighting up the league. So that's why the running back position, to me, is not getting paid. It's unfortunate because I love running backs. I mean, they're, to me, one of the most exciting positions to watch. The patience that Le'Veon Bell showed, the brutality and the toughness that prime Zeke showed. Derrick Henry is just a beast. Marshawn Lynch was amazing to watch. Todd Gurley, amazing to watch. There's so many great running backs, but unfortunately, the careers get cut short because of the brutal impact that they do take game in and game out. So it's unfortunate, but hopefully he has a great retirement.
Yeah, I mean, congrats on a great career for Rashad Penny. Obviously, he could have had a better career if he stayed healthy. So I'm sure he's looking back on it like, man, I wish I stayed healthy. But just enjoy the time that you had. I mean, at least you made it to the NFL. Not many people can say that. And like, you did have a great career even with the injuries you had. So don't look at the negatives, just look at the positives. But yeah, even like the running backs that do stay healthy, only their primes only last max 6 years. Like Zeke's prime was about, for the Cowboys, was about 4 or 5 years, and then he got paid and he went downhill after that. Like, there's a reason for that. Like, they fed him. Yeah, Le'Veon Bell too. Like, both those teams fed both those guys at least 25 to 30 times a game. Right. That's going to take a wear and tear on your body, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, I mean, it's unfortunate for running backs. I know they want to get paid, but like, if the teams continue to feed you the way they do, you're not going to get paid as much as these other receivers, as these other positions, because they don't rely on them as much as they rely on you.
Right.
But like you said, very unfortunate, especially for running backs. But hopefully Rashad Penny does enjoy retirement.
Yeah.
As I touched on, the Cowboys defensive end Sam Williams did tear his ACL in a training camp practice earlier this week. What do you think that means for the Cowboys?
Yeah, it sucks. Like I said in the previous podcast, we're going to see a lot more injuries from now till first game. So we got to see the preparation. I don't understand, because last year we saw the same exact thing. Previous years, technology is only getting better. We should have the preparation. We should have the necessary instruments and skills, right, to where we can prevent these types of injuries in the preseason. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. We should take care of these athletes the best we can so that this doesn't happen. And unfortunately, it still happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only Sam Williams. We'll touch on a lot more that's happened so far. And it's only like the second week of training camps. So It's very unfortunate. Like, you don't want to lose your star players this early in the year. But unfortunately, it happens every year. And I don't know, do a lot of teams practice on grass or is it turf? Like, what is causing these injuries? Because it's mainly ACL and Achilles.
Right.
Like, they have to look into this more, especially like while choosing your training camp location, because there's more, like, certain locations have a higher injury rate, I feel like. And if you do your research, you'd be able to figure that out.
Right.
But this is not good for the Cowboys. As a Cowboys fan, I was really looking forward to seeing what Sam Williams could have done this year because I know he was going to play a lot of defensive end with Micah playing a lot of linebacker. I think Sam Williams could have took a huge jump this year. And prior to this injury, he was playing very well, especially in minicamp and training camp. So it's a very unfortunate injury, but hopefully he can recover and take a leap next year instead of this year.
Sure.
Moving on to another injury, ACL injury. Outside linebacker B.J. Ojulari for the Cardinals also tore his ACL. What do you think that means for the Cardinals?
Yeah, again, it's the Cardinals. It's unfortunate, but these guys do have to take better care of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really worried about it for the Cardinals because I didn't expect much for them, but it's very unfortunate for Ojulari because he's one of their best defensive players, probably their best defensive player, honest, especially linebacker wise. So very unfortunate for him, but I don't think it will affect the Cardinals that much. Then moving on to Colts defensive end Samson Ebukam tearing his Achilles. What do you think that means for Indianapolis moving forward?
So all these guys, all these great players, it does suck, right? The one thing I will say is you're not going to be healthy. One, two, you had a game plan moving into the season with these types of teams like the Colts. They had a shot. Still do have a shot, but they had a greater shot when he was healthy to winning their division, in my opinion. But now you got to transition. At least it's now and not, like, say, a couple of days into the season or whatnot, right? So it's fortunate for that case scenario, but still very unfortunate for the team because you prepare your entire offseason with all these players, expecting them to be healthy, and now you got to make adjustments.
Yeah, I agree. I think Samson Ebukam, losing him really hurts the Colts because they don't get a lot of pressure on quarterbacks as is, and they just lost one of their best pass rushers. So it's definitely going to hurt them and their chances to win the division. I mean, obviously Anthony Richardson is healthy now, but if your defense can't stay healthy, it's not going to really mean anything. Like I said earlier in the podcast, your offense can score as many points as they can, but if your defense can't stop anybody, you're not going to win many games. So this will definitely hurt the Colts. Hopefully they can find a replacement if they don't already have one on the roster, and hopefully Ebukam can recover swiftly and come back better next year.
Sure.
And rounding out the injuries, this one is really big because it's with the Detroit Lions, who, as we said, also is a favorite in NFC. One of their best defensive players, defensive end John Kaminsky, tore his MCL. He is out indefinitely. Rumors is that he could return for the playoffs, most likely out for the rest of the regular season, though. So what do you think this means for Detroit?
That sucks. But the mentality in Detroit, the culture they built, it's next man up, okay? With the amazing team, there's gonna be a little hole there. Not gonna lie, he's a great player. But if the next man comes up, does his job, that hole is gonna look like it's not even there because of how well-rounded their defense and their offense is. So if they have any type of injury on either side, as long as the player steps up, they can go ahead and make and disguise it to where they can still be successful.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is definitely a terrible injury for the Lions, but knowing Dan Campbell, he'll find a replacement for him, which won't make it seem as big as we think it is right now. And you still have one of the best pass rushers in the league and Aiden Hutchinson. So as long as Aiden Hutchinson plays the way he did last year, you're not going to really realize John Kaminsky not being there. But it does suck for the regular season. But if he could return for the playoffs, that'd be a huge boost for the Lions. So hopefully on that time and that side of it, he will be able to return for the playoffs when it matters the most. Moving on to Texans defensive end Nico Autry being suspended 6 games for violating performance-enhancing drug policy. He said he didn't know that his doctor prescribed an illegal drug, but what do you think this means for Houston?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he knew. The one thing I can say is, like we said this before with another player that got suspended, you have to know what goes in your body. I don't care.
I mean,
you're making.
He pretty much. So, like, his statement said he didn't know, and that he didn't read the label. If you're an NFL player, you need to read the label.
You need to do whatever you need to do. You need to know exactly what's going in your body at all times. You never know if someone's going to try to do something to you like this, possibly. Like, say, for example, I don't want to say that the doctor had any intent, right? But say, oh, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of this player. Let's go ahead, make something up for him, right? Let's give him the steroid or whatever the case may be to solve an injury or to solve a problem, and boom, he gets red flagged, 6-game suspension. Obviously Houston has a great team, but Houston gets a big hit with this one, and now they have the repercussions to pay for it. It's unfortunate, but like I said, NFL players, NBA players, whoever you are, if you're a major league, if you're a professional athlete, you have to know exactly what's going in your body at all times. You have to know exactly what you're doing at all times, just because the magnifying glass is on you at all times, and it can potentially hurt your future and your well-being.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm not going to say that Nico Autry's lying, but every player who gets caught with PEDs says, oh, I didn't know I was taking that drug. Bro, yes, you do. If you read the labels and your doctor pretty much tells you what the prescription is.
Every time your doctor tells you exactly what you're going to take.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's going into your body. You're just trying to make an excuse for letting your team down. Honestly, I don't like that. I think you need to own up, take it like a man, and say, yes, I took that. It's my fault. I won't do it again. I'm sorry. Instead of trying to make excuses. Like, that's the part that bothers me with everyone who gets caught.
Mm-hmm.
But this definitely does suck for the Texans because of the fact that he's probably their best defensive end. So 6 games is a lot. It's almost half the year. So hopefully they can find a replacement for him for those 6 games and continue to win without him until he's able to come back. I think they could at least go 4-2 without him. And then hopefully when he comes back, he'll be in the form that he was last year for them.
For sure.
But moving on to the NBA, Jarrett Allen and the Cleveland Cavaliers agreed on a 3-year, $91 million max contract extension. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I love it. I mean, like I said before, when we extended, did we extend Darius yet?
Mobley. Darius, you did not yet. You extended yet, Evan Mobley.
Mobley, Mitchell,
and Allen.
Now Allen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we have one player left who I hope we keep because he is a talent on his own. I mean, he's only getting better every single year, and Darius Garland. But I love this Jarrett Allen deal. We saw how much we missed him in the playoffs when he was injured. He's a great presence inside. He's one of the best defenders inside, one of the best rim protectors inside. It's just, can we see a consistent offensive outing from him? Because we know he can go 20-20. And can we also see a little bit more aggressiveness? Because, yes, I love to see him play. But we've seen him play like he's, I don't want to say lackadaisical, but we've seen him just going through the motions, right? But
yeah,
then
100%.
we've seen Jarrett Allen, and he just goes off. And that's what I want every single game because I know what he can do. We've seen what he can do. Can we just get it on a consistent basis?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's the same thing that the Lakers have with Anthony Davis. Like, both of them can go for 20 and 25 one game, and then the next game drop 8 and 6. Like, that doesn't make any sense. We need dominant Anthony Davis and dominant Jarrett Allen each and every game to be our best. So that's the one thing that I agree with. I need to see more consistency out of Jarrett Allen, but keeping that Twin Towers in Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen for the Cavaliers was very key. I mean, no one can score in that paint, and that's why they were able to get to the second round this past year. Obviously, it took 7 games against Orlando, but Orlando just didn't have enough size. So as long as you keep size, you'll have a chance in the East, especially against the Boston Celtics. You need size. So that's a great contract extension for them. But regarding Darius Garland, I think they do need to extend him. But the one thing that I would say is that I want to see him perform in the playoffs before I give him a lot of money.
Oh, 100%. But we do see him getting better every single year in the regular season. See him being an offensive threat, an elite offensive threat, like in a Trae Young way, or I want to say even in a Dallas. I don't want to say now Jalen Brunson, maybe between Dallas type of Jalen Brunson. We saw some, sparks of greatness there. But Darius has come a long way. I do believe he deserves whatever contract he's going to get, and I hope we keep him.
I don't know. I feel like Darius is honestly in Jalen Brunson's shoes. Like he'd be best leading a team by himself.
He would be, but I feel like the situation that Jalen's in right now, he has a great team that fits him. For Darius to leave, where would he go? I mean, there is not a great team situation to where Darius can lead a team and be successful.
I mean, the only rumors that I've heard was one, the Lakers, but he'd be behind LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
And two is the Spurs. And the one that I could agree with is the Spurs.
It could be the Spurs. I would love to, honestly, if he doesn't stay with the Cavs, I could see him going to the Spurs. To be with Victor Wembanyama, to be mentored by one of the greatest point guards of all time in Chris Paul. We saw what happened to Shea. Chris Paul comes over, Shea gets traded to, OKC. Chris Paul shows him the ropes of the NBA, how to play the NBA. He's an MVP caliber player. Darius goes over to the Spurs. Who knows? Maybe he could be the exact same thing as Shea, because I guarantee you right now, if CP3 never played with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, we would never see this type of player we're seeing right now.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I agree. I think Chris Paul would be a great mentor for him, and the Spurs are probably the best fit for Darius. That being said, I do think he stays in Cleveland. I think him and D-Mitch get along a lot better than the media says. I think it's just for clicks and views, as everything the media does is. So I think they will extend Darius Garland at some point. If not before this year, then definitely after this year.
Right.
But moving on to Luke Kennard agreeing on a 1-year, $11 million deal to return to the Memphis Grizzlies. What's your thoughts on that?
I love it. It adds some more shooting for them. They have Ja Morant coming back. They have Zach Edey coming in, being a monster for them as a rookie. They still have Steven Adams. Everyone forgets. I'm pretty sure Steven Adams is still on that team coming back healthy. They have Jaren Jackson Jr. They believe they still have Dylan Brooks. No, they don't have Dylan Brooks. Who do they have now? No, who's their defensive guy now? Guard defensive guy? No, Desmond's still there. I thought they had someone else as a defensive guard.
Oh, Smart.
Marcus Smart is
back healthy, yeah.
Yeah, when healthy, is an amazing Thank you. Is an amazing defensive guard. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we still got some D Rose out of Memphis still.
I think so.
They have a great team. They have shooting. It just, can they stay healthy? Can they put it together? And if they do, they're going to be a threat in the West.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Grizzlies are going to not be top 2 like they were on Ja's rookie year, but I think they can at least be top 5 and make a push for in the playoffs, as long as Ja Morant stays out of trouble and learns from his mistakes and then stays healthy.
For sure.
Like you said, health is key. I mean, Ja got hurt last year. Marcus Smart got hurt. Desmond Bane, Steven Adams, like their entire team was hurt at one point.
Right.
That's at the bottom of the barrel. When Ja was healthy, they were making a push to – obviously, they were in the play-in after the 25 games he was suspended for, but they were making a push to at least make the play-in and potentially push themselves up to the top 6. I think they have the potential to be top 6 with the team they have, as long as Ja Morant and everybody stays healthy.
For sure.
But this signing is a great signing for the Grizzlies. Luke Kennard is their best three-point shooter, and he is also a very underrated defender. So much needed signing for the Grizzlies to retain Luke Kennard. Then moving on to the Knicks signing Precious Achiuwa to a 1-year, $6 million deal. What's your thoughts on that?
I love this as well, man. I mean, these NBA teams are getting smarter by the day.
Well, except the Lakers.
Precious Achiuwa played fantastic, bro. Yeah, except for the Lakers, obviously. But Precious Achiuwa played fantastic for them when they needed him to play. He stepped in his role. He's a great backup now, or maybe even a starter at some point. Who knows? But he's a great player, great rebounder, great size, defender. I do love this move. Much needed player to stay on that Knicks team in order for them to be successful in the upcoming year.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great signing, especially with Mitchell Robinson's health history. I think he's going to start at least halfway through the year, knowing Mitchell Robinson will probably get hurt.
Right.
Not for the Knicks' sake, because they did lose Isaiah Hartenstein, which is another reason signing is good, because they needed a backup to Mitchell Robinson, knowing his injury history. And Achua was a great piece for them last year. Like, he helped them get close to the conference finals. Probably should have made the conference finals, but he was a key cognizant in their run, in their playoff run specifically, and in the regular season when Hartenstein and Mitch Robinson were both hurt. He came in and played very well. So this is a great signing for the Knicks, but I would honestly like to see them sign at least one more center, because Achua's best, in my opinion, at the 4 and not the 5.
Right, yeah. 100%. He'll be undersized. He'll be just like, I would say, like, I don't want to say a, Bam Adebayo, but he's undersized at the 5. He technically should be at the 4, but he's so great, he can play at the 5. I think Precious would be better off, like you said, at the 4, but then again, he's a great player, and he can potentially be like a Bam Adebayo undersized center.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they would keep him at the 4 and put Julius Randle at the 5, but either way, if Mitchell Robinson gets hurt, but either way, they're going to be undersized if they don't get any more size somehow, some way before the season starts.
Yep.
But that's what we've been saying all year about the Knicks. They need some more size. They still haven't done it. Still got time to do it, but we'll see if they get it done.
Right.
But moving on to the last talking point of Devontae Graham signing a 1-year deal with the Portland Trailblazers. What's your thoughts on this deal?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make too much noise, but he's a great player. I think they're moving in the right direction. Yeah, you still got Scoot. You still got Jeremy Grant. You still got DeAndre Ayton.
Well, I know they're shopping Jeremy Grant. I don't think he'll be a Blazer by the start of the season.
He might not be, but at the same time, he's still on the roster right now. If you have these 5 guys, or I think I mentioned 4 guys, you have a great young lineup. I think you could potentially not make any noise. I just don't think it's going to work out. It's just they have great players. They have great individual players. Devontae's a good player. Like I said, Jeremy's cool. DeAndre Ayton. It's the West, man. It's so star heavy, power heavy with the, obviously you have the Lakers, you have, Matt,
the Clippers.
We can list the entirety, right?
Yeah.
Of the West is star powered. It's going to be hard for anyone to win games, let alone a young team trying to rebuild like the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think this move will make much noise in the regular season. Devontae Graham's a great player. He's going to be a great player for the Blazers. I think he'll have probably his best year on the Trailblazers, given that he doesn't have a lot of pressure on him. He can just go out there and play basketball and not worried about winning. But I think the Blazers are in a rebuild year. They're shopping Anthony Simons. They're shopping Jeremy Grant. I don't expect at least one of them not to be a Blazer by the beginning of the season. Most likely Jeremy Grant. I mean, that's the one they're shopping the most. So I don't think that the Blazers are going to make a lot of noise, like you said. There's teams in the West that will always be at the bottom, at least for another 5 to 6 years. And that the Blazers unfortunately are part of those teams right now. But as long as they continue to rebuild and make the right moves in the off seasons, then they could push themselves back up to where they were when they had Dame on the team.
For sure.
But overall, good signing for the Blazers and good signing for Devontae Graham.
Yeah, 100%.
But there is one more thing I want to talk about before wrapping up. Patrick Mahomes was rated the 4th best player in the NFL by the players. Tyreek Hill rated number 1. I saw something on Twitter that said Lamar Jackson was ranked the better quarterback ahead of Patrick Mahomes. What's your thoughts on all of this?
One, Patrick Mahomes should be the best player in the NFL, hands down.
100%.
For him to go back like he did, phenomenal job with the team that he played with last year. Right?
I'm not saying Tyreek's not good, but it's Patrick Mahomes.
It is. Tyreek's the best wide receiver. Patrick's the best quarterback. But Patrick Mahomes won back-to-back championships without you, dude. And one more thing, he had a worse team last year, dude. He had pretty much 0 receivers. He had Travis Kelce, and then he had a bunch of guys that could be second or third options. Really, you didn't really have a number 1 option. And he still won, got it done. That's why he's the best. Lamar Jackson shouldn't even be in the conversation. It's ridiculous. In my opinion, with the playoff history, it's just like putting Josh Allen. Go ahead, put Josh Allen in front of him. The only quarterback, in my opinion, that can go above him from the AFC is Joe Burrow.
Because he beat him.
That's it. He's the only one to beat Patrick Mahomes.
Like, yeah, to me, I saw this and I was like, okay, Tyreek, yeah, he's great, but Patrick Mahomes went back to back, like you said, had a
Right.
terrible team and pretty much
Yeah.
carried that team on his back to the Super Bowl
Right.
and won them the Super Bowl. He's
Yes.
the best player in the NFL by far. I think these players are just Jamar Chase pretty much said it. He knows he's the best in the league, but he's not going to say his name. These players are salty. It's really that simple. They can't beat him, so they don't want to rank him number one. But they don't know something. Patrick Mahomes, when Patrick Mahomes is angry, he plays even better. You just lit a fire under a guy that already had a fire lit under him to go back to back to back. You made a big mistake, and it's going to come back to bite you. And the fact you put Lamar has one playoff win. One.
Yeah.
That's similar to Dak. We give Dak all the scrutiny. Well, Lamar has the same amount of playoff wins as him. So what are we doing here? He's ranked above Patrick Mahomes. He hasn't even won a Super Bowl. Like, what is this?
Yeah. Where's Matthew Stafford in this? Where's Jared Goff? And in my opinion, Jared Goff is better than Lamar Jackson as a quarterback.
I mean, I don't even like any of the quarterback lists because like Dak is below Josh Allen. Josh Allen has more interceptions and equivalent playoff wins to Dak.
100%. I think they're in the same category, though. I do believe they're in the same category.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. But I think Dak's over Josh personally.
Yeah, it could be like 5 or 6. To me, I'm going to stay consistent. If you don't win in the playoffs, I'm not going to have you guys in the top 3 or 4.
And, I mean, Dak's below Jalen Hurts, which I get that. But the stats say, obviously, playoff wins, yes. Hurts is better in the playoffs. But the stats say Dak's better than Jalen Hurts. And I believe the eye test, Dak is a little bit better than Jalen Hurts.
It's the same thing for me and Brock Purdy, the eye test, right? His stats are there. He goes to the conference championship. He goes to the Super Bowl, but he has a really, really good team behind him. You look at Patrick Mahomes. You look at Joe Burrow. You look at, some of these other guys, and they're making their teams that good. They're making their teams better rather than their team making them look good. And that's why, in my opinion, you got Joe Burrow, you got Patrick Mahomes, and there's nobody else.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like the quarterback list. I think Dak should be higher. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes should be number one. Lamar doesn't deserve to be number one. Yeah, he had an MVP season last year, but what did it lead to? A second round exit. It didn't mean anything, in my opinion. So the fact that Lamar is the best quarterback doesn't make any sense to me.
Where's Aaron Rodgers in all this? Yeah, he didn't play last year, but he is still Aaron Rodgers. He's still one of the greatest talents we've ever seen behind Patrick Mahomes, and he's not even in that category. It doesn't make any sense.
That's why I don't like these player ratings, because obviously they have biases. Like, you're not going to rank your rival quarterback as the best quarterback. It's really that simple. So I take the players' ratings with a grain of salt, because I don't think that they put the eye test into it. Instead, they put their biases into it.
100%.
So obviously, as fans, we all know Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL. Not only the best player, but the best quarterback. But these players, they're going to see that they made a mistake, because they just put a fire under the best quarterback in the league right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not sure if you guys saw, but that throw to Xavier Worthy where he twists half his body. Yeah, the league is in trouble. Let's just put it that way. Like, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, Marquise Brown, and their running back Isaiah Pacheco with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Yeah, league's in trouble.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a fun year, but I'm not gonna be, as of right now. Obviously, my favorites are the Chiefs to three-peat.
Oh, 100%. Why wouldn't it be? The Cincinnati Bengals are in the same team. Aaron Rodgers is untested with the Jets. You have Brock Purdy. We saw how that story lays out. You have obviously Jalen Hurts, but we got to see him, like you said, compete in the playoffs. And then obviously there's the Lions, but there's some questionable calls here from here and there. So I mean, it's just it's a clear choice.
Yeah, I mean, as long as everything goes well, if they could win with that team they had last year, they should not easily win this year, but at least make the Super Bowl this year.
They should make the Super Bowl, and it shouldn't be as stressful for Chiefs fans, in my opinion. I think they'll win, and they're going to win by like a touchdown or two. It's not going to be like, oh, are we down? We need a last second touchdown, or there's going to be a controversial call that lets us win or something. You know what I'm saying? They're going to win fair and square without any issues.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm just still in shock that I saw that earlier today and I was like, Lamar over Mahomes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Crazy.
But any news in the sneaker world over there?
Obviously, I do want to shout out Paris and the Olympics going on. We got the Jordan 6 Olympics that just came out. A beautiful looking shoe. Came out, I believe, 1996, right after one of his, I believe, championships, right? The silhouette came out during his championship run. And then, obviously, the Olympics had the Olympic colorway. Beautiful looking sneaker. I also want to shout out one more thing. Noah Lyles just won the 100-meter. I love to see that. He won by 0.05 fifths of a second, which is insane. I forget the man from Jamaica, the kid from Jamaica. Jackson maybe is his last name. I'm not sure. It's Jack. Was it Jackson?
I'm not sure, but it's something along those lines. I'm pretty sure.
Right? Yeah. 0.05 fifths of a second is remarkable. He came back. I mean, it looked like he was going to lose that. It looked like it was between him and the American next to him. Noah Lyles comes in out of nowhere, uses his momentum, gets that shoulder, gets that torso across the line, wins that 100-meter. Congratulations to him getting that gold. Finally did it. You know, he is now a world champion. Okay, Noah Lyles is the world champion of the 100-meter. Got that gold medal. Congratulations to him, and let's keep getting some more gold for the USA.
Yes, sir. So with that gold, the USA is now tied with 19 with China. So hopefully they can continue to get those golds and continue to be above China. As of right now, they're tied, like I said, but a few more golds they could get.
Though. We're first.
Yeah, we are first. We are first in the medal count by a large margin.
Right?
Yeah, and because of the gold medals. Yeah.
Right.
So we're above China right now, but hopefully we can get a bigger lead, specifically know, the Avengers over there.
Yeah, I mean, you have, knock on wood, the American women's team hasn't lost in 58? Yeah. They're trying to jinx them. They keep saying, they haven't lost in 58, 59 games. Yeah, okay. They're trying to jinx them so that they lose that 60th game, or whatever, 61st game in the gold medal round. Then you got the Avengers and LeBron, right? L'America over there carrying the team. Then you got the Slim Reaper, right? Easy Money Sniper killing it. You got Anthony Edwards going crazy. You got Bam Adebayo carrying that team, right? It's amazing to see. You got, obviously
Anthony Davis
going through something, I think. He's still playing. There's only one player, in my opinion, that hasn't been shown out. Jason Tatum, where are you?
Oh, really?
And Steph Curry, where are you? Steph Curry has not been shooting well. I think it is because of the line. It is a lot closer. So I don't think he's used to that. That's practically shooting, deep mid-range. He never shoots those shots. So I think he has to get used to that. The ball. So the shooting, obviously, aspect of it is not going to be there for Steph. He's still affecting the game. He's still spacing out the floor for them. Jason Tatum, on the other hand, though, he needs to get going. He has a lot of talent. I mean, for him not to perform like he did last time is unbelievable to me. I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe he's got fatigue after that championship run. But at the same time, you're wearing the you're wearing the red, white, and blue. Please represent and go ahead and give us some good minutes, because I know you are a youngin' and you can't really, show your talent that much. Like, you got to let LeBron and, obviously KD cook, but you can still do exactly what Anthony Edwards is doing and utilizing the time that you're given.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I expect both the women's and men's team to win gold. Anything less would be a disappointment. Let's just put it that way. So I expect at the end of this week, I do expect the USA to be number one in the medal count, including gold medals. China's events were last week. This week, it seems like it's going to be USA's week, hopefully.
And 100% shout out Ledecky. Most gold medals for a woman ever in the Olympics. She is carrying the U.S. by herself to keep us in this race for the medal count, the gold medal count as well. So congratulations to her and Simone Biles as well. Congratulations to her for carrying this, this country on their backs, getting that medal count up there. I mean, I love seeing the two GOATs go at it right now, and Simone Biles and Ledecky.
Yeah, I watched the 1,500-meter swimming.
It's ridiculous.
Bro,
17 seconds.
Bro, 30 laps in 15 minutes. How?
Right.
How do you do that? Like, Ledecky is insane. And she had like 2 body lengths ahead of everybody the entire way.
Right. At least. She had a 17-second lead on people. No one came close to her. She is obviously the greatest to ever do it. Right now, women's, Katie Ledecky. Then you got Michael Phelps in the men's. Obviously, he's probably one of the best to ever do it, if not the best Olympian to ever do it.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, Simone Biles, the greatest gymnastic player of all time.
It's ridiculous what she can do.
Yeah, she just makes it look so easy, and it's not even close to easy at all. And then, we did have a debate about who was the greatest Olympian of all time, basketball-wise, men's basketball-wise. But after what I've seen KD do, it's got to be KD.
It's to me, it's either KD or Carmelo Anthony. What Carmelo did, the stat lines he had, the efficiency he was, like, it was ridiculous what Carmelo Anthony did. But then again, like you said previously, to me, he's the highest in points, highest in the rebounds. He's going to get 3 gold medals. Like I said before, he's got 2 right now. He's going to get 3 or what? Is this 4 or 3?
I think it'll be 3.
3?
I think so.
I think he's got, isn't he part of the 12 team?
Was he? I don't know.
I know he was part of 16, 20, and now 24. So that'll be at least 3 gold medals he has. So no, I don't think he was part of the 12.
No, he does have 3, so it would be 4.
It would be 4. Oh my gosh. There would be no doubt in my mind he gets 4 gold medals, all-time leading scorer, all-time leading rebounder. It's going to be Kevin Durant.
Yeah, 100%. It's just fun to watch the Olympics. If you haven't been watching, definitely check it out and watch some recaps of the Olympics if you guys haven't had time, like myself.
Yeah.
But moving on to a video game world. Unfortunately, our childhood was Xbox 360. Their marketplace did decide to shut down after 19 years this past week. Just want to say it's the end of an era. Thank you, Xbox 360, for everything you did for us as kids. I know I grew up with the Xbox 360, and it was an amazing console. But unfortunately, the Xbox world is moving up and making more consoles, and will continue to make more consoles. So they had to get run off the market eventually. But thank you for all the memories to Xbox 360. And then also 2 days ago was August 2nd, 2024. And Kobe Bryant's second of his 3 statues were unveiled. This one features him and his daughter Gianna. It was when he was courtside at a Lakers game, and they were sitting courtside, and he was giving her a kiss on the head. Very cool trophy. If you haven't seen it, they also put a lot of detail into it. Put the wings around them and their back. Very, very sick trophy, and is now available to see in LA. If you guys haven't seen it, I definitely recommend going to Lakers Twitter or wherever you get your news and looking that up.
For sure.
Other than that, thank y'all for watching, and we'll see y'all in the next one.
Hey, guys, we appreciate you guys watching. If you guys like this podcast, please give us that thumbs up. Go check out where Nick Say is down in the comment section. If you guys had any disputes on what we said, or if you guys agree with anything, please go ahead, let us know. Also, let us know if you guys want us to talk about anything in future podcasts. And then, like 2 wise men once said, subscribe. We'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.